So you've decided to make a Dungeons and Dragons character. First of all, great choice. Second of all, you may have discovered something terrifying. There are options? So many options. Classes, races, backgrounds, alignment, stats. Suddenly you're asking yourself, what if I choose wrong? What if I ruin everything? Good news, you can't. And today I'm gonna prove it. Hey there, welcome to the channel. I'm SirBearsworth, guiding creators, shaping worlds, and forging heroes. And today, we're focusing on that last part. This is character creation part 1. Today, we get to ask the fun questions. Who is your character? Where did they come from? Where did they go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? And we'll follow all this up with a part 2 where we handle all the math and stats. That's its own beast. If this is your first time making a character in D&D, it can feel pretty daunting. You're worried about making the wrong choices, picking the wrong classes, doing the wrong build. But congratulations. We've all been there. I'll be here to guide you through this and make it as bite-sized and easy as possible. So, buckle up. We got a couple of things to cover. In this video, we're going to cover your character concept, your class, your species and background, and how to think of your character less as numbers on a page and an actual living, breathing person. Today is all about imagination. Before you open up a rule book or you start looking up guides online, I want you to answer this question. Who is your character? Not their stats or their build or whether they're optimal or broken or not. The real question is, who are they? Why are they adventuring? Are they a brave hero trying to prove themselves? A wizard that no matter where they go, accidents follow? A rogue who steals but feels bad about it? A paladin who takes rules too seriously? You don't need a tragic backstory. You don't need a 5-page novel. You just need one sentence to start with. That's your foundation. The rest of the story will come. All right, now let's talk about the classes. This is the part where a lot of people panic. There are tons of options, to be fair. But here's the good news. With D&D, they all generally fall into 3 different categories. And if you understand these categories, you already know more than you think. First up, martial classes. These guys tend to solve their problems with physical prowess, whether that's with weapons, fists, or pure rage. These guys are generally easier to learn, and because of that, they're a fantastic choice for beginners. I got my start with a barbarian. Let me at least tell you about each of them, give you a quick little snapshot so you can maybe make a little bit more informed of a decision on which path you want to take. The barbarian hits hard, takes very little damage, and solves most of their problems with being too angry to die. The fighter is the master of weapons. Simple, flexible, extremely reliable. You can pick up anything on the battlefield and be effective with it. That's pretty nice. The monk is fast, mobile, fights using martial arts, discipline, and questionable physics. The rogue is sneaky and skill-focused and devastating when attacking from the shadows. If you like straightforward turns and knowing what to expect each round, a martial class can be an excellent place to start. Next up, spellcasters. These guys control the battlefield with magic, solve problems creatively with their use of the arcane, and also occasionally forget how their spells work. Don't get me wrong though, Spellcasters are powerful, but with great power comes great responsibility. Comes great rule memorization and lots of choices. That can turn away a lot of people, but also, the second you learn how to play a spellcaster, everything else just feels a little bit easier. Let's go over the different spellcasters and see which flavor you like the most. The Bard supports allies, controls enemies, and manages to talk their way out of taking any responsibility for their actions. The Cleric mixes powerful magic with a divine purpose, a combination of armor and weapons fueled by a devotion to a higher power of some kind. The Druid commands nature, controls the battlefield, and can turn into animals. They speak for the trees, and the trees are angry. The Sorcerer casts magic naturally. They have a otherworldly ability to change how the magic around them works. The Warlock gets magic from a mysterious deal and specializes in reliable and repeatable power. If you give them a nap, let your Warlocks take a nap. They're eepy. The Wizard, the ultimate spellbook nerd. Tons of options, incredible power, and homework. On your end and theirs. Spellcasters reward planning and creativity. Don't worry though, we'll go over spells a little bit later. They deserve their own video entirely. But, for now, let's talk about our last category. Finally, we have half-casters, the best of both worlds option. They have the ability to fight and use magic, but with fewer spells to use in the long run. Let's go over the couple of examples of half-casters. The Paladin is a heavily armored hero who uses the abilities of divine magic and channeling that said magic through their weapon for devastating strikes. The Ranger is a skilled hunter who combines both weaponry, magic, and amazing survival skills. And our newest addition, the Artificer. They combine gadgets, inventions, and clever preparation to harness their magic ability. Half-casters are a great option if you want to dip your toes into magic but not be completely bogged down by a gigantic spell list. Alright, quick little timeout, a breather. I know that's a lot of classes and a lot of options, so take some time. I have plans to do deep dives on all of those classes I just described, so if you want to be here to learn more about them in the future, hit that subscribe button. Next up, race, or depending on the table, species. This is where the fantasy flavor really kicks into gear. You have all of your Tolkien, Lord of the Rings classics. You have your elves, dwarves, humans, orcs. But with D&D, there are so many more options beyond that. We have dragonborns, tieflings, Goliaths, halflings, gnomes. So many options. Look up one that seems the most interesting to you. They all have little tidbits, little bits of lore that may influence or inspire you to create a character with a cool and interesting story. Pick what sounds cool. Seriously. If you want to play a angry little halfling with a sword that's twice his size just lopping people off at the knee, fantastic. I want you at my table. That sounds like a blast. And I would love to learn more about that character. If you're stuck, match your character concept and class vibe to the race. Don't stress about it too much. There are classic combinations that are out there, and they're classics for a reason. It doesn't mean that your character isn't going to be more interesting than someone else's super unique, finely tuned and crafted character. Some of the best and most interesting characters at the table are gonna be your classic adventuring tropes. So, give it a shot. Backgrounds exist to help you roleplay, not trap you by any means. The cool thing is you have something that you can lean back on and skills that you've accrued from this backstory that can be really influential and helpful in your more modern adventure. At the end of the day, pick one that makes sense with your character's past. Or pick the background and make that your past. As an example, were you a soldier, a scholar, a criminal, an entertainer, or an artisan? These don't affect power at the table, they affect skills and flavor in roleplay. Let's talk about alignment, briefly. You have chaotic and lawful and good and evil. You can have any combination of the two. Here's the real cheat code, though. It's more of a general moral compass, not necessarily a script. At the end of the day, pick one that feels right for the character you want to play. My last little tip when you're making your character: you do not need a perfect build, deep lore knowledge, a tragic backstory. You'll build the character while you play, more than likely. And that's okay. You don't need everything figured out day one. As an example, my very first character that I made 10 years ago, Gregor Stone Anvil, the shield dwarf barbarian who didn't like magic. And that's all I had for about 6 months, until my DM challenged me to come up with a backstory for Gregor. And I found that I really enjoyed coming up with a backstory for this guy. Why did he hate magic? You just ask that question over and over again. Why this? If this, then what? And by the end of it, I had what I felt, at least, a very fun and interesting character to play. Your first character is going to be messy. They usually are. But something I've found is everyone's first character usually has a little bit of yourself in there. You may not see it at first, but it'll naturally come out over time. And that's part one of character creation. If you even feel a little bit more confident about building your first character, by all means, leave a like. It goes a long way. And if you came up with a really fun character concept while watching the video, or you just want to share your first character that you ever brought to the table, drop it in the comments below. I would love to read through and see what you guys have been cooking up. But for me, I'm SirBearsworth, guiding creators, shaping worlds, and forging heroes. I'll see you guys in the next one, and see you at the table.